All right, guys, how we doing? Sam back with you. It's January 4th, it's Friday, and as it's a Friday, we're going to look at Bitcoin. And this should be a relatively quick update. We've been over this multiple times here, and I think this is the third time this week. So I'm not going to go through all of the detail here and some of the issues that we are challenged with down here at this, what appears to be a zigzag finish. And I'm just going to work off of this pivot low down here at 3,200. Plenty of both my partner Quan and I have done multiple videos on both the larger term perspective and some of our best thoughts about where we are in the larger count. I'm just focusing here. I know people are looking at this and kind of curious, what may we have here. Just from a pure Elliott perspective, it's tempting to want to think, oh, lows in, that was a significant level, that 3,200, we'd identified that for most of the year off of that dominant algo pull. Hit the target damn near to the tick. Now we've had an impulsive move off of that, and now we're trying to deal with this correction. Best I see here, right, and I think I touched on this Wednesday, this appears that we've got, this is a 5, right? So unless there's something unusual here that I propose this as a possibility here, that we had an expanded flat going in. So we had a 335 like that. So this helps resolve this issue of this zigzag here. So unless we've got that, which is not that crazy actually, it solves it per Elliott rule set here because of this zigzag here. But I know people look at this and they think, oh, fuck that, right? What do I got? An impulse here. I got a retracement. I would tell you, approach with caution on the assumption here when you have something that doesn't resolve the way you'd anticipate it to. It's not that it couldn't be the low. I would just be suspect of that low. So if that were the case, if this were a large expanded flat and we've just put in a C wave, then this 5 wave down here looks more like potentially that could be a 1 wave, right? So that's certainly not good for Bitcoin bulls. But let's take the other side of it just for the sake of the discussion here, because I've been through the more bearish scenarios. If we do have a significant low here, and this is a 1 wave, well, boy, this is a real stretch to try and call that an ABC. And on top of that, as it follows here, I suppose you could make a case here for a 1-2-1-2, and that we still may see that, right? This could kick, right? It's certainly possible. But based on what we see here, if you were thinking, okay, lows in and we've got 1-2, well, this boy, it's going to be very tough to call that a completed ABC. It's just full of abnormalities. Maybe that's not the right way to say it. Lack of typical swing relationships for that to be a completed correction. Again, anything's possible. But if you look at the subdivision here, whether it's 1-2 or 1-2, this certainly looks like this is your impulsive 3. Now that I take a closer look at it, I think the 1 is up here, and this is the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 of the third. So I think we go 1, 2, 3, 4. Is this? It's difficult. Is this the 4? And then we're 1, 2. Well, it sure is. Same problem as Ethereum. You don't have a clean 5 to finish that, right? But we've been through that a couple of times. But let's, for the sake of discussion, if this were to be the correction completed, well, then the best case here is that we've gone 1, 2, and we're in the middle of the second 1, 2. So the only way that works, boy, I suppose there's an outside chance that you could have this, right? We saw this in 2017 a lot. I mean, a lot. Where we had the truncated C, right? So it's indicative of market strength. There's an impatience here. Buyers are anxious to jump on it when the market's ripping, well, one direction or the other. Doesn't necessarily have to be to the bull side, but that's what was happening all through 2017. You had truncated C waves all over the place, everywhere you looked. So, having gone through that, right, we all went through that in 2017. I suppose you could make that case that you had ABC and that this was 1-2. But again, we certainly don't have the same market conditions. It's kind of that's not a great looking C wave here. boy, I'm not even sure you can get it. You see, you may have to allow for this. Now you're allowing for another truncation followed by this potential truncation here. It's right. So that's why I don't go there first. What I think is more likely is that we're in some sort of a corrective B wave here. So it would appear to me that we're just coming down here. This is the A. We put in the B, and we're starting now on the C. Right? It's bad news for bulls. I understand that. Right? It's not what I want to see happen. But if I just look here objectively, of course, we've got median lines coming and going. We've got both sides of it in play here. So if that is going to be the corner for our corner pocket, so let's get this dialed up here. All right, so it's not quite a golden. You can see this. It was really tied to the pivot of the one wave here of this diagonal, but so you can see how consistently that's been resistance coming across. Now we measure it, swing high, swing low, and we're bumping into the golden zone there. So it's hard not to think like we can't get, so median lines here, we're already off to the edge. So maybe we need to go to a modifier. So if I look at that, that looks like a reasonable target. Now this doesn't invalidate the idea that we might have impulse and we're still in the correction. So as I look now here, assuming we break this channel, which right now this channel is providing good support here. So, but if this starts to crack, well, we can't make the median line. Well, shit, I guess we could. I mean, if this goes fast, we could get there. That could happen. That could happen. It's going to need to get there in a hurry. So immediately I start thinking there's two things to think. Well, maybe they're working from a different pivot, right? That's not terribly uncommon, right? We catch it off of a different pivot here. Could be this or this. Won't know till we get there, but that sure lines up. Now we start to look at that and you think, okay, that's possible here. One of these pivots, but let's go back to the traditional, right? That takes a little, you have to have worked with median lines quite a bit here to start playing around with different pivots. But nonetheless, let's stay with standard. So here we go. Let's go to the shift and see how that looks. Now, if we're coming down here, it's not quite as good. Now, so we know modified shift is exactly like a set of channels. So get this, that possible, right? So we got our algo target here, so we'd be coming up short of the algo target. So let me show it to you this way, right? So modified shift is just another set of channels. So we have competing channels here. So here's your median line or your center line of a channel lined up here, but the algo target's below. So now we know any algos that bought here are going to defend here. So they may not be able to get through. If it gets through and you get a reaction off of that, something to consider. Now, the bad news is here you lose the buy side algo. So if you follow me there, if we break the 65 here, this is our low, we don't have another buy side algo. Right, what we're going to run into now is continued sell side. So that meaning we're going to need strength, volume. It's going to need a big push to resolve that. So if we go down here, let's just clear this up a little bit. If we break this 65, right? So then this 65 is in play, and we're coming down here for that algo target. What I mean by that is that if that breaks, and say we got the pivot here off of the algo target, right? So it's buying pressure. They get the pivot. The next 50 will be in play, right? They'll be looking for that for the move down. So if I take this off just to declutter the chart, so from here there will be software written to sell that, depending on where we get that. It's right here. So in this little pocket here, we're going to have to work through that, right? So that will be a sell zone with that as the target. Now, look where that lines up on the median line. So you got to keep in mind that, right, there's always competing algos on both sides. If we break, and we have not broken it yet, but if we break that 65, that's bad news for bulls, right? Because we lose the buy side algo there that's supported here. We know what happened there. We don't have to wonder, right? So here's the reaction at the 50. Here's the defense at the 618. For whatever reason, we don't quite make it into the golden zone. This looks corrective, right? Unless there's a kick, right? So still possibility here. We get a big punch out of here, but right now, path of least resistance looks like it's lower. If we hit that target, you got to be prepared for this, right? So it's not, you don't want to be thinking, oh, okay, they hit the target and now off we go. Right, as I've said thousands of times, doesn't mean we can't get through here, but that's going to take, some muscle to get through that. And then, of course, excuse me, pull that off. Of course, that, damn it, trying to get that hot. We still have those to get through, right? So all of this will still be up here, right? But we have the potential now, if we got through that first one, then we get a buy side, right? You follow me here? So there'll always be another buy side. So if we get through this, if we get through and we're challenged here, now we can get this buy side algo on our working with us, right? It was assuming you're bullish and you want to see it go higher, right? That's my first assumption. So you will get this buy side, looking for it, and look where their target is, right at the 618. Right at the golden zone. It's literally on top of the 65. You can barely see it. So you've got to deal with these coming and going. Right? This would be, so if we see something like that, sorry, this would be a good sign to break out of this channel. Right? We would leave this, so it would confirm we had a significant pivot here. We get a higher low, break here. Now we've got a higher high, potential for a trend change, but just that. Right, we got to get through this 65, right? That will be significant as that's the last dominant high for the sell side. We get through that now, maybe 1, 2, 1, 2. All right, but then you get a cleaner finish here. So it's a buy you can lean into a little bit more, even if we do break this 65. If you got to wait for this pull, you got to wait for this push, and then you catch this. Then you got algo behind you, right? So you can get the benefit of that. Otherwise, right, if you're just buying down here, oh, we think we got the 786. That's, you know, you're going to get away with that sometimes, but you always want to see if you can get on the right side of an algo, right? If you don't have it, right, you're at a real disadvantage here. That muscle won't be behind you, right? And they're the muscle. We're just trying to get behind them, right, and follow what they do, right? In the context of, you know, trying to make that fit into an Elliott count, right? That's the heart of everything we're doing, right? So add the geometry and some volume profile and some of the little nuances of what we do here, and there you go. That's what I see here. So, I'd love to see this kick. I'd prefer to see this kick. That looks less likely, which is best advice I can give you is be cautious here, because this is not indicative of if this is the impulse and you're thinking the correction's done. This is not looking particularly impulsive. If that were our low, we'd be looking for an impulse here. Doesn't look like that's what we're getting, at least so far. All right, so I would approach with caution there. I'm here not ready to go heavy just yet. All right, but we'll see where we sit on Monday after we see how that responds over the weekend. All right, guys, this short update here today. So I got one more. We've got a tie for that last one here. I'll take a look. It's either Link or Neo. All right, back to you in a bit.